Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than normal. Today's video is going to be a Q&A answering questions from my Instagram that you guys have asked me. This video was supposed to be filmed yesterday working on the STI and getting the first startup, but unfortunately we've been getting a lot of snow here in Spokane, Washington, and the shop is completely covered in snow and I cannot get the STI out. I went ahead and hired a company to plow all of it out, but instead they pushed all the snow against the garage doors, so I cannot get the STI out because I was going to be bringing the STI over to Devin's shop. Instead of not posting a video on like the last few days of Vlogmas, I've decided to do a Q&A and answer the most asked questions on my Instagram. Now, by far, this is my most asked question on any Q&A I ever post on my Instagram. I have never answered this question because I don't really feel comfortable talking about this a whole lot. The most asked question is, how do I fund all these builds? So without getting into too much detail on how I've been able to fund the STI before I've started YouTube and all of this stuff, I was fortunate when I was at a much younger age to start investing and getting into that space. So I have invested for the past 8 years of my life, and that leads me to now where I am fortunate enough to be able to do some of the things that I am doing currently. But when I first started the build on the STI, that was more of a hobby passion project. Wasn't really out on social media doing it for that. It was more I wanted to build the STI how I wanted it. So I was spending the money as a hobby. But now that I have shifted and I'm doing YouTube and social media, it's more of a business for me now. For me, there's a certain point of spending money on a hobby when it just doesn't make sense anymore. For the STI, I'll make a video later on when the STI is done, but I have spent so much money on the STI when it doesn't make sense to have it as a hobby anymore without it having the potential to make me money. But I hope that somewhat answers it without obviously going into too much detail about my personal income before I've started YouTube and social media. But to sum it up, I was fortunate enough to get into investing at an earlier age. Another commonly asked question is if I am in school, because I am young. The answer is I was. So I'm 21 years old. I went to college for a little over 2 years, and I was studying international business because business is what I want to be doing for the rest of my life. But unfortunately, college was just not the right fit for me. Really, ever since I bought my STI, I knew I wanted to do social media content creation in some aspect. Now is where I'm at the point of actually doing YouTube 2 years later. But yes, I was in college and I was studying international business, but I have decided to take a break and see where social media will take me. The reason I wasn't too stressed about not continuing college right now, schooling, is I always have the chance to go back to school. I still have my credits that I gained. Those aren't going anywhere. I'm just at such a young age, it's worthwhile for me to take some risk right now as opposed to later on in my life. And I'm so happy that I'm doing YouTube now. It has been a dream of mine to do YouTube, and I'm so happy I'm doing YouTube now, and I'm excited to bring you guys along the journey of the channel. I'm just getting started. I've never been on camera before, so this is all learning for me, but from what I've done so far, I absolutely love it, and I cannot wait to see what this channel looks like years down the road. Another commonly asked question I'm getting is, what is something I wish I knew about Subarus before I worked on them? This isn't directly related to Subarus, it's related to every car that anyone is building, and that comes down from what I've learned time and time again with all my mess ups, is to take your time. Doesn't matter if you've done it a million times or if it's your first time, it's very important to take your time, because once you start rushing things, trying to get that first startup as soon as possible, you tend to overlook things, and that is when you start forgetting small important things like the orientation of the camshafts, which I've taken those cams and heads apart on my Subaru. I don't even know how many times. I have never made that mistake, it was just one of those things. I was either rushing myself, wasn't 100% focused on what I was doing. But my biggest advice is to take your time. Nothing is impossible. I'm still learning things on the Subaru. It's all very easy once you are working on it piece by piece. It's not as complicated as people make it out to be. It's all very doable. If I was able to do it, anyone in the world can go ahead and work on their cars. It's not impossible by any means. And that is why I also am doing YouTube, is to show you guys, because I'm just like you guys. I am learning as I go, and I just want to bring you guys along with the journey as well. So hopefully we can learn things together, or you guys learn off of mistakes that I have made. And then of course, I just had to throw this in there. Devin had to respond and say, can you show me how to properly install EJ camshafts? I deserve that. I still cannot believe that I put the camshafts on backwards. To me, that's just, I don't know how I was able to let that slide. And looking at the camshafts as I'm torquing down the cam caps, sealing everything up, I probably looked at it, I don't even know how many times, and never crossed my mind to verify that the camshafts are in the right position. Anyway, we all make mistakes, as embarrassing as it is. Shit happens, and it is what it is when working on cars. You guys know Bo, my best friend, that's his Evo in the shop. He's coming in clutch with a lot of these questions as well. Asking a lot of questions I think you guys would also like to know as well. Bo asked a question saying, do I miss any of my old STI setups? To answer that question truthfully, I miss my FP Black setup when I had my AMS intake manifold. I miss that setup, and if I could snap my fingers and go back in time, I would truthfully probably keep my STI at that setup. I only made like 650 to the wheel, but that setup was so much fun. I never ran into issues like I'm running into now with the STI. It was enjoyable. I can daily drive the car, not worrying about breaking things consistently. As now with the STI, I don't trust the car anymore, so I have to build that trust level with the car. And realistically, at this power level I'm going to be making, I can no longer just daily drive this car. I did build this car for the intention of a track purpose build, which I'm completely okay with, but in the future I think I do want to pick up another Subaru, an STI, and do another FP Black setup so I can daily drive it, enjoy the hell out of it without worrying about things breaking all the time. Another asked question is my top 3 most desirable cars. Obviously there are cars I want that I am nowhere near getting, that like being a Huracan. I'd absolutely love to twin turbo one in the future, but obviously that's not obtainable for me right now. But cars that are somewhat obtainable for me to get right now that I absolutely love and would love to get my hands on would be another Evo 8 or 9. I used to have 2, if you guys did not know, with my STI. I had 2 black 8s. One made 850. The other one was a complete shell, motor out. It was a project for me to build. If you guys know who Schmedia is, that is the Evo he had. It used to be mine, and then I sold it to him because I never got around to it. So an Evo would most definitely be on the top of my list. Another car I would want, which is a little bit less obtainable right now, would honestly be an R33 GTR. I used to hate the R33. I would have taken an R32 any generation over the R33, but I've seen so many R33s recently that I absolutely love, and truthfully that would probably be my #1 pick of the GTRs. Would be the R33. I would love to do a crazy build on one of those one day. Obviously, that's not really as obtainable right now, but an R33 would be a top 3 car for me. But I think the third one would be an S15. I love the way they look, properly done. Obviously, I'd want to do a crazy build with it as well. But mainly is I would really love to build like a drift car, have a drift setup on a car. Maybe I'm not doing these crazy drift events, But I think it'd be a very fun car to have in the collection. So I have my STI for my track and the S15 for drifting, just goofing around, doing fun stuff with that. And then let's say the Evo for just the daily driving. I think it'd be cool to have a variety of different vehicles on the channel, so I have so much more content to give to you guys. Track days, maybe drift days. I don't know. I've never done drifting either. It's always interested me, and I think it'd be very fun to do one day. But most realistically, probably the next cars that would be on the channel would be either another STI or an Evo. Those two are way more obtainable than getting any of the other cars I've talked about. But I love all cars. Really anything like more JDM, that's my style. I would never really buy any Euro or any German cars. Those don't really interest me a whole lot. But taste change. Maybe one day I would love to have a Euro German car into the collection. Another commonly asked question I get is, how did I meet Josh Bader? As you guys know, he is a very good friend of mine, and yeah, we're very close. But how I met him, I was a customer of his many years back when I used to own my Hatch, my Motor Blue. I sent my car out to Josh, he rebuilt it, and then when I went to go pick it up, we chatted and sort of connected, and we have been friends ever since. So Josh is one of my very close friends. Very happy that I made that relationship with him, and he is really what got me into building the STI to where it is today. I've gotten this question asked a lot more recently now. If you guys follow my Instagram, every post I make with the STI or any car in the shop, I have a head gasket wall on the back wall of where the STI is. I do that purposefully in my videos to leave that in there just to see if anyone notices, because I think it's funny. But people ask what's up with the head gasket wall, and truthfully, when I first had my motor out of my STI and I was replacing the head gaskets and whatever build I was doing, I thought it'd be funny just to keep all the head gaskets I go through and hang them up on the wall and see how many I can collect over the time. Also, for people that don't know, all those head gaskets have been in like the last 7 months, 7-8 months. So that is how many times I have at least pulled the heads off, maybe not putting a new short block in, but that is how many times I've had my heads off of my block. I think there were like 2 sets I ended up throwing away on accident, but still, regardless, I've had my motor out of this STI so many times this last year, and the head gaskets are there to show how many times something has happened. Would I ever build an older style STI?
That pussy.
What's up? I'm just recording. And that was Devin wondering when my STI will be over at his shop. I had to update him with what's going on with the plowing situation. But anyway, back to the Q&A. I got asked what my favorite wheels are. Now this might shock some of you guys. Probably no one will ever guess what my favorite wheels are, besides people that I've talked to them about. But I have wanted these wheels before I even had a cool car to put them on. And I'll show you guys what those wheels are now. I have wanted these HRE 305 wheels for the longest possible time, and I would absolutely love to run a set on the STI in the future. Obviously they are expensive, so right now that doesn't really make sense to spend $6,000-$7,000 on wheels just for the STI, but here they are. I absolutely love these wheels, and one day I will own these, but these have been my all-time favorite wheel for so long now. Obviously I love all of the like trending popular work wheels, Volks wheels, love all of them. I have a set of TEs on the Honda. I have some Works on the STI. I love all of those wheels. I had some Volks ZE40s for the STI as well. Love all of those wheels. I just find them overplayed in a lot of aspects. And you don't really see many people running HRE wheels, and specifically the 305 series. Absolutely love these wheels. One day in the future, I will buy myself a set. Another question I get asked a lot is, would I ever wide body the STI, and if so, what kit would I go with? To answer this question, it's like a no and a yes. Right now, I would not cut into the STI to wide body it. The car has 20,000 miles. It is pristine. I could not cut into it. It just would hurt me too much to cut into a perfectly good car. Obviously, as the channel grows, I would love to wide body a car. I just don't think it would be my 17 STI. I just couldn't do it to that car. I would wide body it though, only under one circumstance. And that is, God forbid I ever got into an accident in that car, something happens at the track, anything where I have body damage, mainly in the rear quarter. If I ever got into an accident in the car, the rear quarter or any major body panel was damaged, obviously can't be at a certain height, but if the wheel well, like quarter, was damaged and totaled out or whatever, that is the only reason I would wide body the car, because obviously I'd still want to keep the car, and that gives me an excuse to wide body it. And it doesn't hurt as bad cutting into a car that's already damaged. But if I were to wide body it, there's only one kit I would ever do on the STI, and that would be the full Varus kit. Obviously though, that kit is very, very expensive. I think just for the full kit, like everything, all the carbon, side skirts, wing, all of that stuff, it's like $14,000. And that doesn't include paint work, because obviously you need to be paint matched to the car. But maybe at that point I would just wrap the whole thing. I don't know. It's a lot of money, and I could not get myself to spend that type of money right now. My favorite thing on the STI, and that would be the custom turbo kit. Although I've expressed, and people know, that I do not like the exact turbo kit I have on the car right now. If you guys know what I'm talking about, I want the turbo clocked so the intake is in my headlight. Right now it's clocked in so it's like facing my radiator more. I don't like the look of that. It was done in a time crunch for Gatlinburg, so in the future I will change it so it sits in the headlight properly. But still, regardless, I am in love with that kit with the fender exit. It's very unique. There's not many STIs running a custom turbo kit in the headlight. I think it sets it apart from 99% of other builds, so that would have to be my favorite part of the STI. Plans for the Honda. When I first bought it and I made the video about it, I have all these plans to all-wheel drive swap and do this crazy build, and I still have those plans. Truthfully, I thought I would have blown this motor way long ago, and that's when I would have started this build. But unfortunately, or fortunately, the motor will not go, so I just haven't really done anything. I mean, I've put a bigger turbo, injectors, new wheels, wrap on the car, but I haven't really gotten into the actual build part of the car because it hasn't blown up yet. My most recently asked question is, what's your goal for your cars and channel? And that's kind of a hard one because goals change as you progress. But right now, I would love to have a crazy shop with a crazy big car collection, and I would very much like to have a diverse car collection. I don't really see myself having like 15 Subarus. I just don't find that as fun. Sure, I'll have a few, but I would like to have a diverse collection of cars, all crazy builds, all unique, so we can do a variety of content on the channel. Obviously, I want this channel to be huge. I don't really see a cap of it. Obviously, things take time with YouTube. It's not an overnight thing. But as we progress on the channel and on YouTube, I would love to just see a crazy huge car collection, crazy builds for you guys, and just show you guys the steps of all of these crazy builds that I want to do. As I'm sitting here refreshing the questions for the Q&A, I'm staring at the website for the HRE wheels that I really, really want have been a dream wheel for me for the longest time. Anyway, the prices have gone up since the last time I've looked. It's been probably a couple years since I've looked at these wheels, but now they are $9,000 for a set, and I swear it was like almost $7,000 for a set years back. So it's crazy to see the price increases. Because yeah, they are $200 a wheel, which is insane. So yeah, no way am I spending $10,000 on wheels for the STI anytime soon. Maybe one day, but not anytime in the near future. I think that is the last question that's rolling in. It's very slow right now, and I need to get this video edited and posted today for you guys because it is getting later in the day now. It's currently 4 o'clock. So I think that is going to end off today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this Q&A. If you guys do, make sure to let me know. I will make more of these in the future. But yeah, unfortunately, today was not a day of working on the STI. As much as I wish that were the case, just did not happen. Life happens. It is what it is. But coming in a video near you guys will be the STI running. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.